Have you ever felt like you're living in a parallel world to everyone else? That when you speak, your words fall into the void like stones thrown into a bottomless well? That your presence creates a strange discomfort in others, as if you were carrying a truth no one wants to hear? If this resonates deep within you, then perhaps you're part of that peculiar group that Swiss psychologist Carl Gustav Jung called the individuated ones, those people who have begun an awakening process that inevitably separates them from the herd. Jung, who passed away in 1961 after decades studying the human psyche, observed something fascinating. There exists a small percentage of people who experience what he called the individuation process, a profound awakening of consciousness that transforms them into extraordinary beings, but also extraordinarily lonely ones. And before you dive completely into this reflection that might change your perspective about yourself and others, I invite you to subscribe to this channel, because here we'll explore together the deepest hidden dimensions of human experience. The first characteristic that distinguishes the chosen ones is that constant feeling of being watched with suspicion. It's not paranoia, it's an acute perception of something real. When you enter a room, conversations become more cautious. When you share an opinion, faces harden slightly. It's not that you're unpleasant or confrontational, but rather that your mere presence acts like a mirror, reflecting the inconsistencies, masks, and lies that others tell themselves daily. The chosen ones possess a natural ability to see beyond appearances. While most people settle for superficial explanations of life, you perceive the deeper layers of reality. This penetrating vision isn't a comfortable gift to carry. It's like having a flashlight permanently turned on in a world where most prefer to walk in twilight. Your light bothers because it forces others to see what they'd rather ignore. German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer, who lived between 1788 and 1860, developed a theory that perfectly explains this phenomenon. According to Schopenhauer, humanity divides into two categories: those who live immersed in what he called the veil of Maya, a collective illusion that conceals reality's true nature, and those few who have managed to tear that veil and contemplate reality as it truly is. The latter are the chosen ones, but their awakening comes with a terrible price: loneliness. When one of the chosen tries to share their perceptions, they encounter resistance, incomprehension, and frequently, rejection. It's not that people are inherently evil, but truth proves disturbing for those who have built their lives on foundations of self-deception. It's easier to label the messenger as weird, cold, or too serious than to face the discomfort of questioning one's own beliefs. This dynamic generates an inevitable psychological adaptation in the chosen ones. They learn to build emotional walls to protect themselves from constant judgment and misunderstanding. Over time, they develop what appears to be coldness, but is actually an emotional survival mechanism. They've learned that showing their true nature generates rejection, so they adopt a mask of indifference that protects them, but also isolates them even further. The paradox of the chosen ones lies in how their spiritual and psychological awakening, which should be cause for celebration, becomes a source of suffering. They possess deeper understanding of life, greater capacity for genuine love, and more authentic connection with their essence, but all this transforms them into foreigners in their own world. They're like adults living in a kindergarten, unable to return to lost innocence, but also unable to find other adults with whom to share their reality. Jung observed that this individuation process isn't something one consciously chooses. It's rather something that chooses the person. As if the universe selected certain individuals to awaken and become catalysts for change, even if that means carrying the weight of incomprehension and isolation. The chosen ones don't seek to feel superior or different. They simply cannot return to a state of unconsciousness once they've awakened. And here I pause to ask you something important. Do you recognize yourself in any of these experiences? Have you felt that strange combination of inner clarity and outer isolation? If so, let me know in the comments, because recognizing you're not alone in this experience can be the first step toward healing. the awakening process of the chosen ones usually begins with a profound existential crisis. It might be a significant loss, romantic disillusionment, professional failure, or simply a spontaneous moment of clarity where the illusions that sustained their previous world crumble like houses of cards. This crisis, though painful, acts as a catalyst, propelling them toward a deeper search for meaning and purpose. During this search, the chosen ones develop acute sensitivity toward others' energies and emotions. They become emotional sponges, absorbing the pain, frustration, and despair of those around them. This hypersensitivity, while granting them profound understanding of human nature, also exhausts them emotionally and forces them to seek periods of solitude to recover their inner balance. The loneliness of the chosen ones isn't the same as what an average person experiences when feeling lonely. It's an existential loneliness arising from understanding that their way of perceiving and experiencing reality is fundamentally different from the majority. It's the loneliness of one who has seen colors others cannot perceive, of one who has heard melodies others cannot hear, of one who has touched truths others cannot feel. This fundamental difference in perception creates an almost unbridgeable communication gap. When the chosen ones attempt to describe their inner experiences, their words sound abstract, confusing, or pretentious to unprepared ears. It's as if they spoke a different language, one requiring a level of consciousness most haven't yet developed. This impossibility of communicating their deepest experiences intensifies their sense of isolation. Over time, many chosen ones learn to live double lives. They develop a social personality that allows them to function in the everyday world while keeping their true nature hidden. This duality is exhausting and contributes to that external perception of coldness or strangeness. It's not that they're naturally cold people, but they've learned to maintain protective emotional distance that allows them to survive in a world that doesn't understand their sensitivity. Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard, who lived between 1813 and 1855, masterfully described this experience when he spoke of the anxiety of the exceptional individual. According to Kierkegaard, there exists a small group of people destined to live in constant tension between their authentic nature and the world's expectations. These people, the chosen ones, experience what he called the sickness unto death. Not a physical illness, but an existential condition characterized by profound nostalgia for something they cannot clearly define but know is missing from their daily reality. This nostalgia isn't for a specific place or person, but for a state of being where they could completely express their nature without fear of judgment or rejection. It's the longing for a spiritual home where their sensitivity would be valued instead of questioned, where their depth would be celebrated instead of feared, where their authenticity would be welcomed instead of rejected. The chosen ones often feel like exiles in their own world. They observe how others connect easily in superficial conversations, how they enjoy entertainment that seems empty to them, how they find satisfaction in achievements that appear insignificant to them. This observation doesn't arise from feelings of superiority, but from genuine confusion about why they cannot access that same simplicity and satisfaction. The spiritual search of the chosen ones leads them down less traveled paths. While others find comfort in organized religions or popular philosophies, the chosen ones feel the need to construct their own belief systems based on direct experiences and personal revelations. This individual search distances them even further from the group, but also brings them closer to more authentic understanding of their life purpose. One of the most challenging aspects of being chosen is the responsibility that comes with awakening. Once they've seen the truth behind collective illusions, they feel internal pressure to act as catalysts for change. However, their attempts to awaken others are usually met with resistance or even hostility. This dynamic creates internal conflict between their desire to help and their need to protect themselves from rejection. Jung identified that the chosen ones often experience what he called the transcendent function, a psychological capacity that allows them to integrate seemingly contradictory aspects of human experience. This function grants them broader, more balanced perspective on life, but also transforms them into complex beings who can be bewildering to more linear minds. The internal complexity of the chosen ones manifests in their ability to hold paradoxes without needing to resolve them. They can love deeply while maintaining healthy detachment, can be compassionate without being codependent, can be strong without being harsh. This emotional and spiritual sophistication is both their gift and their curse, because it makes them unique beings, but also misunderstood ones. And precisely because of this, I invite you again not only to subscribe to this channel, but also to activate notifications, because in this space, we'll continue exploring these profound dimensions of human experience that are rarely addressed elsewhere. The chosen one's relationship with time is also peculiar. While most people live trapped in routines that give them a sense of security and control, the chosen ones experience time more fluidly and meaningfully. For them, a moment of authentic connection can be more valuable than years of superficial interactions. This difference in temporal perception makes them seem impatient with trivialities, but they're actually simply more conscious of time's real value. The maturation process of a chosen one involves learning to find peace in solitude without becoming bitter or resentful. It's a delicate balance between staying open to love and connection while protecting themselves from incomprehension and judgment. Many chosen ones develop premature wisdom about human relationships, learning to value quality over quantity, depth over breadth. The sexuality and romantic relationships of the chosen ones also present unique challenges. Their need for authentic, profound connection makes them incompatible with superficial relationships or those based solely on physical attraction. They seek companions who can accompany them on their inner journey, but such people are scarce. This search for a compatible soulmate can extend for years or even decades, during which they may remain alone by choice rather than circumstance. Creativity in the chosen ones usually manifests as a compulsive need to express their inner world through art, writing, music, or any other form of creative expression. This creativity doesn't seek external recognition, but emerges as a vital necessity to give tangible form to internal experiences that would otherwise remain incommunicable. Their works often reflect depth and authenticity that can be disturbing or inspiring to those who experience them. The path of the chosen one is neither linear nor predictable. It includes periods of intense spiritual connection alternating with times of dryness and doubt. It includes moments of absolute clarity, followed by phases of confusion and questioning. This emotional and spiritual roller coaster is an integral part of their evolution process, but also contributes to that external perception of instability or strangeness. The chosen one's relationship with suffering is paradoxical. On one hand, their sensitivity exposes them to more intense levels of emotional and spiritual pain. On the other hand, they develop extraordinary capacity to transform that suffering into wisdom and compassion. They learn that pain isn't something to be avoided at all costs, but something that can be transmuted into growth and understanding. Over time, many chosen ones develop what we might call detached compassion, a form of love that requires no reciprocity or recognition. They learn to love humanity as a whole, including those who have rejected or misunderstood them, because they understand that rejection arises from fear and unconsciousness, not from inherent evil. The mission of the chosen ones in this world isn't always obvious or grandiose. Sometimes their role is simply to keep alive a frequency of higher consciousness in a world that tends toward unconsciousness. They're like silent lighthouses emitting light that others can perceive subconsciously, even if they cannot consciously identify its source. The final recognition that must come to every chosen one is that their difference isn't a burden they must bear, but a gift they must honor. Their sensitivity, their depth, their ability to see beyond appearances are exactly the qualities the world needs, even if it doesn't always appreciate them. Their work isn't to convince others of their value, but to live authentically from their deepest truth. The chosen one's loneliness eventually transforms into solitude, a condition of inner fullness that doesn't depend on external validation. They learn to be their own most precious company, to find in their inner world a richness that compensates for the poverty of superficial connections in the outer world. This solitude isn't isolation, but a way of being completely present with themselves. The legacy of the chosen ones isn't measured in conventional terms of success or recognition, but in the silent transformation they generate in those who have the privilege of truly knowing them. Each chosen one who lives authentically from their inner truth slightly elevates humanity's collective consciousness, contributing to our species' spiritual evolution. If you've recognized yourself in this description, if you felt that familiar mixture of pain and recognition upon hearing these words, then you know you're not alone on this journey. There are others like you, scattered throughout the world, carrying the same light, bearing the same sacred loneliness, contributing to the same collective awakening. Your sensitivity isn't a weakness, it's your superpower. Your depth isn't a burden, it's your gift to the world. Your difference isn't a problem to solve, but a truth to celebrate. And though the path of the chosen one may be lonely, never forget that each step you take in authenticity illuminates the path for others who come behind. So I invite you to leave your comment sharing your experience. Give this content a like if it has resonated in your heart. Subscribe to the channel to continue exploring together these profound territories of the human soul. And remember, being chosen isn't a curse disguised as a blessing, but a blessing that requires the courage to be truly who you are, without apologies or explanations. The world needs your light, even when it sometimes seems to reject it.